Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. And we're back.
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah.
All right.
Hey now.
I was saying woo earns.
All right. So I saved this for Leigh.
Well, thank you, Doctor.
A piece of lettuce. Awesome.
He's here.
I appreciate your joke, Jimmy.
Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen.
What?
That's the new movie.
Okay, they gave it a title.
Is this with the guy with the Stranger Things guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
The director, Neil Marshall, has revealed Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen will in fact be rated R.
Ooh.
Mignola talked about this when he wasn't yelling at kids.
Does he yell at children
He's-
frequently?
He was a dick to me.
He was nice to me only because I was stammering and pooped my pants.
It says we've been granted permission to do it R-rated, which for me is just like taking the cuffs off. It's like, okay, so now we can just make the movie we want to make. No one's going to stop us, so that's the main difference.
Who owns Hellboy?
Guillermo del Toro. Or, no, I mean,
I mean like film-wise, like what production
Wasn't it
company?
Legendary?
Legendary through
Well,
Universal.
they changed though.
Did it change
Yeah, it's a different
hands?
ownership
Yeah.
now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Legendary's not with Universal anymore.
It says, I'm sure, obviously, the success of things like Deadpool and Logan have not hurt our case, but also you go back to the original material, it's kind of bloody, so I'm going to embrace that. He says we're going to use as much as we can practical effects.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, Del Toro did, I think,
Yeah.
90% of the first Hellboy was practical.
It's definitely going to be as practical as we can possibly make it. I love to do stuff in camera whenever I possibly can, and use CG as the amazing tool that it is to enhance or expand upon the world, but not to replace.
Sorry, Blade Runner joke. Enhance, expand.
So anyway, it will be rated R.
So I'm not a huge Hellboy follower. Just out of curiosity, does it need an R rating?
Not at all.
No.
No,
They're
I
just kinda going for it?
have every single. I have the entire hardbound Hellboy library.
Yeah.
It's stylized blood. Like, I mean, Mignola is a master craftsman, and when he does blood, it's more the atmosphere. I think Guillermo. I'm sorry, they're interchangeable in my head, but Mignola does a certain type of drawing that'll have a lot of red and a lot of blood in it, but it's not like it's chunky guts or anything like that. So,
Well, I don't even think blood gets you an R rating.
no.
I'm just curious, like
The imagery-
is he ever that vulgar or like that kind
No,
of?
the book's not vulgar either.
Hellboy
No,
says
he doesn't
crap.
even
There's hardly ever
Right.
any even nudity in it. This is like, I think the Lamia story is the only time I ever really even saw like bare breasts in
Yeah.
Hellboy, and even then it was so hyper stylized that it's kind of a case where I'd say it's not needed. You know,
Yeah.
go ahead and make your PG-13 movie that can have the intensity,
Right.
but it doesn't need.
I mean, PG-13 movies will get you a higher box office for sure. Usually.
Right, and you allow for a certain degree of intensity that wouldn't necessarily be in a smaller rated movie.
Because
but-
I know that even not Daredevil, Deadpool. I mean, I think it was great as an R-rated movie, but based on the comics, it
didn't need to be.
It didn't need to
You-
be,
you-
but I think it worked.
Yeah,
But,
but
I
you
just
can
wonder
trim
if
you can
this-
trim 4 minutes out of it, and it's not.
True.
You know, it's very easily a PG-13 movie. I mean, they
Besides the language, though,
Yeah.
the language will
this
take
where,
you right the fuck out of
yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying though, is that you can change that very, very quickly.
Sure.
I mean, it's a quick edit, and that's a PG-13 movie.
But I think it kind of worked in that sense. But
Sure.
But and again, I'm not a huge or Deadpool reader, but with Hellboy, I've never really see that as
Well, and you get
what
into
I have read.
You get into a weird argument with Deadpool in particular because it was a Comics Code Authority character for a very long time. So
Yeah.
there was, even the blood was blacked out. And then when they started doing Deadpool Max, that's when they started pushing the boundary of the violence. And
That's when the character really changed.
well, and that's hard too because the Deadpool that was in that movie is not the Deadpool I read when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was Cable and Deadpool, and that was your road movies. It was Deadpool was Bob Hope to Cable's Bing Crosby, and
Sure.
it was cool and it was fun and it was ridiculous. But Hellboy,
I just don't see it needing an R rating.
also
but
here's another thing. And people might take issue with this. Hellboy's a character kids should see. Really is. I mean, he's a cool character. When you watch that first Hellboy movie and he's, struggling with his inner demons and doing his whole thing,
Yeah.
there's the way Ron Perlman played him. He was a teenager. He was a 12-year-old kid who just happened to be huge and like kittens. And there's an innocence to that I think is really cool to have. He's a superhero. He really is a superhero. He is one of the great, as far as I'm concerned, 4-color comic book characters. He's great. The Goon's a character that should be in an R-rated movie.
Exactly. But no, I agree with you. Like, the Hellboy's. It was always funny because it was called Helboy, but it still was just like an earnest,
Definitely.
kind of sweet character.
Yeah.
But drawn in like this gothic style.
Right, and Mignola even talks about it, where he says, "Oh, we got the rights to do an R-rated movie, and it's going to be blood and guts." And I'm just kind of going, "That's not your comic, dude. That's not what you did."
That's where I get nervous because Deadpool was great.
Yeah.
Logan was great.
But save that for Lobo. We
Sure.
don't need it for Hellboy.
But to me, I'm getting nervous that like studios like, oh man, those R-rated movies,
They're raking it in.
They get some good money. So let's
Right.
make all these things R-rated. And again, violence, language, anything like it doesn't bother me. But is it necessary? That's my thing.
To me, Hellboy is not the character of Hellboy. To me, and he's a great character, but to me, what makes Hellboy work is Mike Mignola's art style, his sense of humor, his obsession with old mythology, Irish mythology.
Yep.
All of that stuff's in there. And if you want to go with the monsters, like they did a great job in the first movie where he dug up the old Russian corpse and was carrying him around on his back.
Yeah.
Right out of the comics, right? That was a Tim Burton zombie.
Yeah.
That wasn't a George Romero zombie.
Right.
You don't want that with Hellboy. Now, if you want to do that and you do a really cool Hellboy story that's got guns and bloods and or whatever,
Guns and bloods.
guns and bloods, you got a blood and guts movie that's super hyper stylized. Cool, go for it. But that's not what the character is at his core.
When I think of Hellboy, though, it's funny. I mean, like with Logan, I mean, you saw Logan taking his knives and stabbing in people's faces and stuff like that, which is fucked up. Whereas Hellboy fights monsters and stuff like that. Like
Fights dragons and gorgons.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like not
fairies
like,
and-
not
Yeah.
so much realistic in the sense.
Yeah.
And so like, why does that need to be rated R? That's where I'm jumping to.
The only way it would really work is if they did it as a horror movie. If they did it
Well,
as
then
a
that's
A
the
horror
mood.
movie?
a horror movie.
That's the mood that they're going for. is a
Right. So
horror
if they
movie.
did something, there's an Irish character called a red cap, and what the red cap does is he skins you, he scalps your head, and then he wears your inverted scalp.
Well, that's rated R right there.
You're bleeding.
That'll do it.
He takes your scalp that he's taken and he turns it inside out and he wears your bloody scalp on his head as a hat. And they did some issues of Hellboy where he fought red caps. And that you do that as people in Ireland, the townspeople out in the moors are having a hard time with red caps, and
Right.
Hellboy shows up to fight him. Go ahead and do that,
Yeah.
and that could be cool.
But just
you-
don't make Hellboy R-rated.
Yeah, he doesn't need
Like
to
the
swear.
character
He doesn't
itself.
need to decapitate. Hellboy's a good guy. I mean, he's right up there with Superman as far as do-gooders are concerned.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Struggling against his nature.
yeah.
I think that's
Right.
what just
And
gets me
that's what-
nervous is that like it's not like the entire superhero world needs to turn into an R-rated movie.
No, not
Like,
at all.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you guys saw this. Speaking of Mignola, did you see what DC Comics, one of their next animated movies is?
who's?
DC Comics or Warner Brothers or whatever.
Their animated division.
Yeah. Gotham by Gaslight.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Gotham by Gaslight's the story.
That's gonna be interesting.
Mike Mignola drew it. Late '80s. It's the story of Batman fighting Jack the Ripper,
Yeah,
who's
it's
the
like
Joker.
in Victorian England.
Yeah,
It's-
and it is one of
really
the
cool.
most formative. It basically launched the look of steampunk because he had the goggles and there's lots of gear works and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Interesting.
And Marvel followed up with something similar, Spider-Man Noir.
But that was like 20 years later.
Yeah,
though.
20 years
Yeah.
later, but it was really good.
And the Marvel Legends figure of Spider-Man Noir is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a phenomenal piece of work.
No, but I saw that I saw that today, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, that's great. He's gonna freak out.
early Mignola. I mean, when he first started, he was doing a lot of one shots in Elseworlds books. So he did the Crusader Batman story too, where the Batman went down into the caves to fight a dragon, and it was this huge chunky plate mail armor with the bat, and it's
No, I loved him, and that's why I was so bummed that he was such a dick when I met him at like one of those early cons that we had here. You know?
Yeah, I met him in San Diego Comic Con, and he was grumpy as fuck. And but I think he's tired. But there are characters like if Sam Keith were to bring the Max back and say even as weird and whimsical as the Max is, and he said I want to do an R-rated comic. Well, yeah, he kills saber-toothed tigers, and he has a serial killer for an enemy, and that's twisted shit. They could use an
Right.
R rating. Or even like the Goon, Eric Powell's The Goon comics. This guy, he's a giant overgrown troll dude who hangs out with a guy who likes to stab people in the eye, and he fights zombies constantly.
And there's like shit monsters.
Yeah,
and
there's
stuff.
shit monsters. That's an R-rated movie, and it's actually a really funny movie, and it would work that way. There's a lot of indie comics that would work that way. Eric Powell's got another one called Hillbilly. It's Southern Gothic fairy tales told like from this Appalachian hillbilly that wanders around fighting monsters in Tennessee, and R-rated movie. But
honestly, you've just reminded me of something that I would like to see made into not a movie necessarily. Well, it could be a movie, but I'd see it more as an HBO series.
you're going to say Southern Bastards.
I'm going to say Southern Bastards. Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
If you're not reading it, it's find somebody who has some issues lying around and look at it.
Yeah, or you get Saga. Saga is the unfilmable science fiction epic, and it could be done.
You know what? Those
Not if you give it to Zack
I
Snyder.
was gonna say those fucking idiots that made Sausage Party would probably make it.
Saga is so good.
Wait, did you not like Sausage Party?
I'm just saying they ruined Preacher.
I'm enjoying it. Let's see. Did anyone watch Sense8?
I watched the first
Netflix?
season, and
Okay.
it's kind of what the Wachowskis should have been doing instead of fucking around with Dream Atlas.
Jupiter's Ascending.
Jupiter's Ascending. I mean, they've got a really good style to them, but
They have a great visual. Like
great, very visual sense. I mean, Speed Racer. That's all Speed Racer is this.
I never saw it.
It's
Actually, I liked it.
I
watched it on
dug,
HBO.
I dug the hell out of it. I mean, it was missing the car acrobat team, which is kind of what makes Speed Racer to me.
Even
but-
all the Matrix movies. I mean, like the last two are terrible, but they have a good eye for detail of imagery. But when you start getting to like actual storytelling,
Yeah.
it's fucking awful.
So Sense8 is really good science fiction. It's some really hard hitting.
Is this a show?
Yeah, it's a show on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Netflix original.
And it's like the second season they canceled it.
Yeah,
And there was a big cliffhanger.
there was.
Well, the Wachowskis lobbied Netflix, let us finish it.
That's really cool.
And Netflix said, okay, we'll give you an episode
As a comic book.
so you can finish it.
I think
I don't mean to sound insensitive. I know one is transgendered. Are they both transgender?
They are now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I don't.
It's an extra long episode too, though. Does it say it's a?
It'll
like
have to be
2 hours.
What I read
Yeah.
was it's a 2-hour.
It'll be like a
Yeah.
film length.
And
so.
it's a really I think Sense8's one of those.
What is it about?
I can't really describe it. I mean, these people they all develop superpowers at one point, and it's kind of like remember how cool the first episode of Heroes was?
Yeah.
Imagine if it kept that up.
The first season of Heroes was good.
Right. So these guys they
Yeah,
start
but it
developing.
didn't really get good till the cello came in.
It didn't really get good.
You mean Reverse Dazzler?
It really didn't get good until they helped Siler break down his walls by breaking
yeah.
down a wall.
By punching a wall.
Shut up! I don't
Yeah.
want to remember any of this.
No, but Sense8 they start developing powers, but I mean they actually have a real trans actress playing a trans woman, and that's a lot of people don't do that. They don't realize the importance. We talk about representation on a panel I did at GamingCon, and it's very important for a trans person to see a trans person playing a trans person. For Christ's sake, I
Like
mean,
Laverne Cox.
yeah, exactly. Or what was it? The thing they're saying after Rogue One
Arthur.
when Diego Luna took his dad out from the theater, and his dad said, I heard a Mexican voice in that movie. I heard a Mexican voice in Star Wars. And it wasn't just that it was a Mexican actor. I mean, he actually sounded... So now you got kids that can grow up and be Cassian Andor. I mean, it sucks that he dies, but still...
Whoa! Spoiler alert!
No, representation's a hugely important thing, and that's what Sense8 has. It's got a really good multicultural cast. It's got a really good acting. It's got a really good kind of storyline, and it's kind of mind-boggling at times.
So Netflix is going to let him finish the story.
I'm happy to hear it.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Then I got this story just for Jimmy.
Oh shit!
Because
This
he's here.
one's made for Jimmy.
This one's just for Jimmy.
It's got a great soundtrack.
And are you doing this for Jimmy because he's here?
I even wrote the headline
Not hiking
for,
naked.
for Jimmy. Go
What does it
ahead.
say?
Michael Bay says there are 14 Transformers movies already written, and Jimmy is weeping.
What?
14?
14?
And he's
That fucker won't live for another 3 years.
claiming they're writing them?
You think they have a script?
No, I don't think
Come
so.
on, man. They just
How'd that
point a
last
picture of
one
a
do?
fucking pile of shit
That
and
one,
let it rip.
the last one just kind of fucking flopped here, right?
See, what,
in
what
America,
bugs me
yeah.
out, though,
In
is
America.
that... So you said 14 Transformers films. I don't know if that's 14 that Michael Bay's going to direct, because the one that you guys talked about, the 80s one, Ed keeps saying, like, shit that's, like, coming with it. I'm like, I'm in. Like, I think it sounds bad.
Oh, the Bumblebee movie.
Bumblebee, like, you know, if they do Soundwave as a fucking cassette player, I will lose my shit.
If there is a scene of a dude walking down the street with a boombox on his shoulder and it turns into Soundwave, yeah, I'm fucking checking out.
Dude,
I'm done.
That's what I'm not against Transformer movies. I'm just against Michael Bay's Transformer.
also-
You're against bad fucking movies.
I'm also all for the scene when Generation 1 Grimlock tries to transform from a robot into a dinosaur and he has to ask his dad to come and help him finish because it's too fucking complicated.
Yeah, it says here that 14 stories ready to go in that universe.
I'm sure they're all gold, too.
Bay's most alarming response was to questions about the spin-offs planned to turn Transformers into a bona fide cinematic universe. The director said there are 14 stories written, and there's good stuff. So I would like to do one of them.
Some of the
something
best
good.
stuff,
I was gonna say he's the judge of good stuff. Ain't
all
he?
the best stuff.
Well, see, what makes me mad, though, is that Michael Bay's made some good movies.
No,
I'm sorry.
I agree.
He and the last one that I saw that I liked of his was the 13 Hours one, the whole Benghazi story.
You kind of dug Pain and Gain too.
It wasn't. Yeah, that was. I liked 13 Hours more, but
Yeah.
But this is a guy who just needs to fuck off from this franchise. Like, I'm sorry, you're not relating to this.
His
Like,
template for that is destruction, robot, oily chick, repeat.
yeah, or wax that motorcycle. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just.
I don't see a problem here.
And Jimmy, I just like to tell you that I've launched an investigation in your love for this Benghazi movie.
Yeah, please do.
Political joke.
Don't look at my emails.
Do you need some Shark?
I was with you.
Yeah,
You need some
got
Shark,
me?
you need some Shark Tank money for that
I love
investigation?
you. I love you, Kerry.
No, but I mean, I can't knock the guy. I mean, he's a good director. He
I
can make
can.
some good fucking movies.
I will knock this fucking guy because
sucks at Transformers
it's
movies.
the first time he made a movie that did something I didn't think was possible.
Gave you a boner, huh?
No, it was
No.
like gave you the equivalent of food poisoning.
I threw up.
through-
It was view poisoning.
yeah,
Viewed
it was like
poisoning.
celluloid poisoning,
Yeah.
or like yeah.
But that is honestly what makes me so mad because you could make some really fucking cool Transformers.
Yeah, well,
movies.
you really could, and it also means that we won't see Robotech in the United States, but some of those giant robot shows from Japan, based off of anime shows that were fantastic.
Don't say no to Robotech in the United States.
Tobey Maguire's going to do it.
I will say no until Harmony Gold is taken out of the picture because they are fucking up the rights and the distribution rights to the mecha. Tatsunoko Studios in Japan's just like as long as Harmony Gold exists, we're not letting the United States do anything. They have released so much Macross related shit internationally that we can't see here in the United States at all because of this feud between these two companies that's been going on since 1983.
Interesting.
Don't you want to see an Edgar Wright Transformer movie
I not only do, I can imagine how amazing it would be.
and the soundtrack?
Great
especially
soundtrack.
with
Let's go straighten it out, Jimmy.
you get a Soundwave playing the jam as he's going down the road. You show Sideswipe playing something
It's
really cool.
weird. I don't talk about it much because I mean the movies are pretty much terrible. But like Transformers franchises, it bugs me a lot because
How do you fuck it up?
Well, I grew up on it, and like those were my toys, and this could be fucking amazing, but you have an asshole in charge of it, and you fucking ruined it. Like, so
No Transformer movie should be like 3 hours long.
No,
and a
they shouldn't.
half.
They shouldn't be that
three
long.
and a fucking half.
And what's sad about him, I only watched the first one, and even then, I really had a hard time finishing it. I was able to sit through both of those shitty G.I. Joe movies because they were at least entertaining.
Right.
Yes.
Release the sharks.
Yeah.
The second one.
The second one in particular, man, they knew they were making a lousy movie, and they just kept
They
going.
kept
I
going.
actually like the second G.I.
Actually,
Joe.
you know what? I
movie.
haven't seen it.
The
That
second
sounds
one,
pretty good.
there is a ninja fight between Snake Eyes
cliffside.
and between Snake Eyes and Jinx and like 30 ninjas, and they're just swinging back and forth, and you're like, oh fuck.
I think the second G.I. Joe movie is actually pretty good, but it's just the thing with
Adrian
Transformers.
Palacki.
The Transformer scenes could be fucking amazing.
Yep.
And I think we'll get there. When Michael Bay dies.
when he's not in the room. Yeah. He just
But-
can't be there to
But
ruin it.
maybe somebody will get GoBots off the ground and make that transform.
Yes, the origin of Leader One.
You can only see it at the Dollar Theater.
But we won't
and
see
s-
that because Psykill was actually stolen.
Psykill?
Psykill was stolen from Robotech, and the licensing's wrapped up with Tatsunoko Studios.
God damn it! This fucking life we live.
But if they went with the Revel model kit, they could use the Psykill they used for that instead of the one from the cartoon.
Let it go.
I can't.
All right.
Sorry.
Games and movies. What do we have? Do you have games, Tony?
Yeah.
All right.
First of all, stop twittering angrily at me because I forgot to mention Splatoon 2 came out last week on the Switch.
I'm sorry.
Splatoon 2?
Yeah, Splatoon.
What is Splatoon?
I thought a spittoon was what you spit in.
Splatoon.
No,
Splatoon,
not
yeah.
Spittoon.
Is that like a, it's like,
Splatoon's fun.
is that like a porn video game?
Kind of. No, not at all, actually.
That's Splatpoon. You're thinking of.
Splatoon?
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong?
Splatoon.
No, we've
All right, Shark Tank. I got a video game idea.
Splatpoon.
Let's see. This week, we got some more beta early access games to try out. Fortnite by Epic Games. Same guys that made like the first 3 Gears of War games, things like that. NHL 18 has a beta out this week if you want to play that. Hey Pikmin on Nintendo 3DS. I don't know how that works.
I got a
'Cause
nephew who loves that.
It's not a I don't think it's a regular Pikmin game. I think
Oh.
it's something
different?
Different,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. He loves the Pikmin.
There's a lot of people that like those games quite a bit. Also, the new Nintendo 2DS XL does come out this week. So if you want the if you want to pay $50 less and get a new 3DS XL that just doesn't do 3D, there you go. That's all it is.
I can't see 3D, so that's perfect for me.
Yeah, so it still has the clamshell design and everything. Because you guys know the first 2DS was like that slate-looking thing. So this one still has the build quality of the 3DS.
Oh, okay.
With the clamshell design and the dual speakers and everything.
All right.
Extra thumbstick. So
Oh, we all need an extra thumbstick.
gotta have an extra thumbstick.
You can't even see 3D in real life.
No, I can't.
So I look like a flat, like paper.
You're all
I look like
you're all
fucking
2D to
Jackie
me.
Paper.
Yeah, you're like cartoons.
Wow.
Flat little cartoons.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
Everything makes sense now.
It makes sense. Movies.
How I keep cutting myself at work.
Reanimator is now on Blu-ray.
Oh, Jesus
Dr.
Christ.
Herbert West.
So, which reanimator?
oh, yeah.
good
Because there was
one.
a bunch of them. The first one?
No, I mean, which of the first one is it?
I don't know. It just says
Did
Reanimator.
they do a remake, a Reanimator?
There is an extended cut that is
Oh.
so fucking hard to
Oh
watch.
God, it's disgusting.
Because there's a scene in Reanimator. Those of you who've seen Reanimator, and those of you who haven't are thinking, "Oh, this zombie movie sounds cool." There is a scene where a zombie uses another zombie's arms to hold his head so that he can perform oral sex on a woman. And in the theatrical release, that scene goes on for
Based on a
about.
true story.
Theatrical release is maybe a 20-second scene. It's short. It's done.
Yeah.
And then the theatrical cut got re-edited, and they made it more uncomfortable.
They added the footage.
They just, it's a terrible movie, but it's also
No, it's not.
I think it's Stuart Gordon, right?
Stuart Gordon's greatest movie.
It's his only good movie, other than Robot Jocks.
You can't. Don't talk that way about him.
Another film in the same genre. James Gunn's Slither.
Ah, Slither.
Best
on
movie ever made.
Something's
Blu-ray.
wrong with me.
That movie has Yondu's greatest performance, where he just wanders around screaming Starla for 2 hours, and Nathan Fillion's the good guy.
That's right.
Let's see. Lego Scooby is now out. It was called Beach Blast.
Is that a game?
It's a
Or
movie.
Lego
Yeah.
Scooby. Huh?
Lego Scooby. It's a porn.
Could
Weird.
be. Could be.
I can't get these
And-
bricks apart.
I think that's it. Yeah.
That good?
Slow week.
All right. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Huh?
real fast.
Oh, yes, please. What?
You want me to review War of the Planet of the Apes real fast?
Can you?
Yeah,
Are you allowed?
of course.
I think it's out.
What day is this?
24th.
24.
Yeah, it came out 10 days ago. So, oops. Do
Well, maybe you come back next week and we'll
you want a broken news?
we can do it on
You'll
Broken
never
News.
know what I thought.
No, actually, he did do the review, but we had to go in and individually erase everyone's memories.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that was a lot of work.
Boy, they had a
Good
real,
job, Tony.
Hey,
real,
anytime.
real security problem with that one.
I don't even remember doing it.
Exactly.
Well, that's
how
because
good
I
it
had to go
was.
in and erase your memory.
Well, who erased yours to make you forget?
I'd never forget.
Oh, okay.
He never forgets that Tony's going to jail.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to be a fall guy.
Mr. B, finish this, please.
All right. Shark Tank.
Oh,
Okay, I got an idea.
Okay.
25% of my shit.
No, it's called Bukkakham.
Oh,
brilliant idea. So it's like a GoPro, but it's got a very small strap.
wait a minute. How,
no,
how
no,
many
no, no.
investors are in this?
Bukkakham, a bunch of people sit around, get in a circle around you, and feed you more ham.
No.
Oh, I
No.
like that.
You
That
like-
sounds pretty good.
Because I'm getting
like
more
that?
ham that way. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool.